You're watching the Spartan Sideline Report with Coach Anthony Evans.
Hello, Spartan fans, and welcome to another edition of the Spartan Sideline Report here on NSUSpartans.com. I'm Ross Gordon, the play-by-play voice of the Spartans, joined by Mike Bello, Assistant Sports Information Director, and we'll be joined shortly by the head coach of the men's basketball program, Coach Anthony Evans. New heights being set for the Spartans men's basketball program over the last couple of weeks, the longest winning streak in the Division I history, Mike. They've pushed it up to 12 now, and maybe the most impressive thing out of all of it is the Spartans actually won at Delaware State since 2004, and maybe to the outside fan who hasn't been around this program for that long, they might think, oh, well, that's just another win. But that was a very big win for this team's psyche, especially the coaches, because none of the coaches since 2004 have seen that happen.
Yeah, it was a 7-game losing streak actually up there that they broke, throughout the year, throughout the past 2 years, they've pretty much beaten everyone almost everywhere except for Central, who they haven't played yet. So that was kind of like their one last hurdle in the regular season to get over. So now and the road season's done too. So now they can just look forward to the past few games at home, and then obviously the MEAC tournament here in Norfolk.
13-0 on conference play, and the Spartans are doing it in a variety of ways. You have to look at that game in its entirety. Yeah, the Spartans jumped out to a 15-point lead in the first half, and then in the second half had to really fight and hold their way on to win that ball game. But again, this is a true team because their second leading scorer, Malcolm Hawkins, did not score a point on Saturday, and they still won a game.
Yeah, Brandon Good obviously stepped up big. He had a big first half for them, get NSU that big halftime lead. And Chris Brown stepped up in the second half, came off the bench, hit a couple key baskets, hit that one three-pointer with the score tie. I think that really kind of kept NSU up on top, and that kind of maybe, I don't want to say swung momentum, but that was a big three-pointer for him.
I think what was huge for the Spartans as well is against a team like Delaware State, capitalizing on mistakes, as we now turn to the head coach of the Norfolk State University men's team, Coach Evans. Capitalizing off mistakes, especially against a Delaware State team, is huge in a game like that, especially in their home place.
Oh, absolutely. They're a possession basketball team. They don't normally make mistakes, so it was good that we could get some turnovers and that we converted those turnovers in.
Coach, in the second half, Delaware State came out of the locker room, kind of started pressing. You could tell we were struggling with it a little bit. Towards the end, how do we kind of overcome that? We kind of did start to get better at overcoming that press there at the end.
Well, we just talked about being patient. I thought we were being impatient when they started pressing us. It wasn't the fact that they were pressing us so much that we were just turning it over. I think we were throwing errant passes. We weren't being patient. We weren't cutting hard to the basketball, making short passes. So once they started getting some momentum, we just had to calm them down so we could finish out the basketball game.
I think one big thing is Mike mentioned it was the play of Chris Brown. Mm-hmm. I think Chris has had his lumps over the season. He's played well as the season has gone along. But, again, I think once he gets to what he's good at, which is defending the basketball and making plays on the defensive end, which leads to offensive production, he can be one of the best players on this team some nights.
Oh, absolutely. He's one of the best athletes that we have. And out in transition, he finishes pretty well. He knocked down a big three-point shot for us, which shows he has confidence, shooting the basketball pretty well. And he had the steal. He made the steal and laid it up, which was a tough finish. But Chris has been huge for us all year long, and he showed that in that game.
And he mentioned it earlier, Ross did. Malcolm didn't score at all. Rob Johnson's kind of struggled the past few games as well. But it's always somebody different stepping up. Like it was Brandon Good, it was Rasheed Gass in the Hampton game. Penny seems like it's been every game. Chris Brown obviously against Delaware State. And so no matter who, even if someone's struggling, there's always someone there to pick up the slack.
Well, I think it shows the depth of this basketball team. We rely on 3 guys primarily to do our scoring, but then everyone else can chip in. Brandon Good, I think he had double figures. Chris had double figures, and Penny. Those 3 guys. Whereas some other games it's Malcolm, some other games it's Robbie Johnson or Rasheed. So it just shows the depth of this basketball team.
You're coming into this weekend's game after defeating Delaware State against a team in Bethune-Cookman, which is kind of hard to read because they did defeat Savannah State on Saturday at home, but they've struggled in some key games. Talk a little bit about this Bethune-Cookman team.
Well, again, it's a team who lost some people from last year. They went to the championship game against us, and I think they were trying to find their identity. Adrian Coleman's playing really well, averaging 18 points a game, and then Dukes is the second leading scorer. So they have some weapons, and it's just a matter of us being able to slow them down and contain, because we're not going to stop them completely. But that has to be our focus. Play defense, make sure they're not getting big nights.
As you guys keep winning, it's kind of the same thing when the last national team to suffer a loss. When they're undefeated going out throughout the season, into January, there's always more of that pressure. I mean, how do you guys make sure that, as a coaching staff, make sure that the players don't feel that pressure themselves of going undefeated in the MEAC?
I mean, to be honest, we really don't talk about it. It was something that the team wanted to do. It was one of the goals that they set to win the regular season. So we're undefeated at this point, which is great. But again, we never talk about it. We don't talk about the streak. We don't talk about anything. We just focus on the next game.
Coach, talk a little about the mindset of the last 3 games at home, because our schedule has been a little erratic. It's been here, there, you're off this week, you're off that week, and now you get 3 games in the matter of 6 days. Talk a little about the last 3 games and how the weeks off have really helped you for this moment.
Well, again, anytime you can get more rest, it's important at this point of the season. Malcolm has a problem with his foot, which gives him a chance to get some rest, which is important. So going into these last 3 games, we're trying to sharpen what we do to make sure that we're gaining momentum as we go into the MEAC tournament, because that's the most important part of this whole season.
And obviously next week is spring break week, so the kids don't have classes, distract them. They can, as you said, they can get a little bit more rest, maybe sleep in a little bit. And obviously we play obviously Saturday, Monday, and then Thursday, obviously all at home. And then we play the Wednesday following now is going to be in the MEAC tournament. So, I mean, I guess how much of an advantage does this give you, the fact that, a lot of these other schools are going to be traveling? Everyone's going to have to travel pretty much to Norfolk for the tournament, except maybe us in Hampton. How much of an advantage really does that give you?
Well, I thought it was an advantage when the tournament was moved here. We talked about that initially. We don't have to travel anywhere. We can sleep in our own beds, or whether we stay in a hotel, we're pretty close and familiar grounds. So we can practice at Echoes, we can practice over at the Scope on a day or so, but everything is familiar for us. So I think it's an advantage for us. Hopefully, we'll go out and do what we need to.
Is it more of an advantage the fact that you don't have to travel for the last week heading up to the tournament as well?
Both, definitely. The fact that we're here, the fact that we don't have to travel, all of it is an advantage.
Coach, now we wind down to the part of the season where playoff positioning is really, really huge. You play most of the season to get to this point. Talk a little about how do you prepare your guys day in, day out, understanding that now it's not just a streak, but it's playoff positioning.
Well, again, you want to be in the best position possible. You don't want to play 4 or 5 games in a row. Obviously, we're not in that position, but we want to be in a good bracket because it's one game, and then if you lose, you go home. So we want to put ourselves in the best position possible so that we can finish out the season and get to the NCAA tournament. Right
now, the Spartans already guaranteed a top 3 finish, so that means we will have the bye. So it looks like it will be Wednesday before the team plays. So you already know that it's going to be Wednesday, whether it's going to be at 6 o'clock or 8 o'clock is the question right now. But again, it's got to be happy that you know where you are in that respect. But the trophy is always nice too, to get the championship, the regular season championship trophy as well. So hopefully we get that. And also, if you don't know, we have a new app for your Android phones. If you have an Android phone, you can download the NSU Spartans Athletics app, and you can find out about Norfolk State University athletics and everything going on around the athletics department. I have it on my phone. You have it on yours. So it's a nice little thing. We're working on it right now, Coach Evans. I know you have a BlackBerry, so I don't know if they have apps yet.
No, not yet.
so we'll work on that. Also, Norfolk State University has a lot of other things going on around the athletics community. Now we'll send it to Chandrea Lee for our Spartan Sideline Sports Minute.
Thanks, Ross, and hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Spartan Sideline Sports Minute. I'm Chandrea Lee, and I'm here to bring you all of the news and notes going on around the Norfolk State Athletics Department. The NSU men's tennis team claimed a 4-0 victory over North Carolina Central on Saturday at the Cone Kenfield Tennis Center in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. They will take to the courts again on Saturday against Bethune-Cookman, and then on Monday against Florida A&M at the MEAC Southern Division Roundup in Florence, South Carolina. The Spartans men's track team extended its own record by winning its 8th straight MEAC Indoor Track and Field Championship on Saturday. The Spartans won 5 event titles to pull away from the field. That will do it for this week's edition of the Spartan Sideline Sports Minute. I'm Chandrea Lee. Now back to you, Ross.
Thanks, Chandrea. The Spartans will host Bethune-Cookman this Saturday at Joseph Eccles Hall. Game time is at 6 o'clock p.m. It's Military Appreciation Day. Tickets are $5 with valid military ID. Then on Monday evening at 8, the Spartans host Florida A&M. It's Community Day, and admission is $5 for all Hampton Roads municipal employees. Be sure to keep up with all of the news surrounding the NSU Athletics Department by logging on to the web at www.nsuspartans.com or get the Android app. We would like to thank the NSU Department of Video and Media Production and Coach Evans for their help here today. For Mike Bello, I'm Ross Gordon. Until next week, thank you for watching the Spartan Sideline Report on nsuspartans.com.